in a perfect world, democracy would be limited to local matters, to matters that that don't ultimately impact the lives of that many people. And what? Why do I say that? I say that because, well, I see a lot of things and I encounter a lot of people, and it might sound cruel, but I've kind of come to the conclusion that, and I don't mean this in a nasty way or a cruel way, but I think most people, or at least a large fraction of the human population, just is not able to understand more complicated, complicated situations and things with a lot of moving parts. Like intellectually speaking. I did people who just can't distinguish between like um, yeah, I think the particular situation that that got me thinking about this was like people I saw a post somewhere, and it was like it was people arguing about whether they could film people in a gym, and and so then people were like arguing about whether a gym, business, a gym privately owned, like, counts as a public space, for the purposes of, like, can you film people, without their knowledge or without their permission, because in a public space, like, there's the presumption of, like, you can be filmed whenever, and, there's no presumption of privacy in a public space. So, like, in most places, you can film people in public, and, I mean, it's kind of rude to do so, like, without their permission, but legally speaking, there's not necessarily anything stopping you from doing that. So, oh, so so I was like, people were arguing about this, and and this was online, this was the internet, so I'm taking it with a grain of salt. Like, who knows, like, who these people were, and like whether all of them are even human or whatever. Um, but people were arguing about like, oh, can the gym prohibit people from filming, like, because it's like, oh, is it a public space because it's privately owned, and that kind of thing. And of course, the answer to that is like, well, okay, like a business that's open to the public is legally considered a public space, right? For the purposes of like filming or something, like, there is an expectation that you can film inside like a business that's open to the public, unless you have some reason to think that you are not allowed to do that, like, they have signs posted saying like no photography, whatever, that kind of a thing, like, but otherwise, and so the thing is that it is a public space for that, in that sense, like, for the purposes of filming. But it is also, of course, a private space because it's private property that's owned by people who get to decide what rules they want to enforce. Like the people who they allow in their business. The owners get to decide what you know what they'll allow. Like they get to make the rules basically, and they can demand that anyone on their property leave, at any point, just based on their whim. They can say like, okay, you need to leave. If you refuse, then you're trespassing. And then at that point you can involve the police if if customer refuses to leave or something, like if they break the rules and then they refuse to leave. Um, oh yeah, but people who are arguing this matter, like I didn't see a single person making an intelligent assessment of it, because they were saying like, oh no, like it is illegal to film people in the gym, because it is not. And I just to be clear, I don't think you should be filming people in the gym. Like it's like that's pretty perverted. I mean, realistically, that's probably why they're doing it, right? Is because they're perverts, and they want to film people, film people at the gym. So like, obviously, don't film people at the gym. That's weird. Like, don't do that. I'm saying that, just legally speaking, as far as I know, I could be mistaken. Like, please, anyone who, who's a legal expert in the question of like filming people at the gym. Please, if you have like advanced legal knowledge of that specific area, please tell me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. The Oh, so it's like, so you could basically go into a business and like, yeah, you can film people, and that's not breaking the law. It's not breaking the law, right? So it's not illegal. The business owner, if they don't like you doing that, then they can say, hey, get out. They can say, hey, we don't tolerate that. Like, I'm ordering you to leave right now. Like, get off my property. And that's totally within their rights. They get to decide like what the rules are. They get to decide what like the rules of the store, the rules of the gym, whatever, the rules of the movie theater, whatever it may be. They get to decide what you can and can't do in their business. That's totally true. Oh, but that doesn't make it illegal. And I saw tons of people saying like, oh no, they thought it was like a crime because it's like, oh, the gym's not a public place. It's it's a private place, and so it's a crime, and it's like, no, that's not how it works at all. There's two different layers of rules, going on here. There's like the rules of the business, and then there's the rules of the state, of the city, whatever. There's the rules of society at play. The laws, the statutes and the laws and the codes and all of that going into the web of legality, like telling you what you can and can't be prosecuted for, basically. And so, if you film people like without their permission, and then the business owner tells you to get the hell out, and then you refuse, and then they call the police, and then the police have to like drag you out. I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, that's illegal. That's because you're trespassing and you're refusing to do what the owner says, the property owner, when he tells you to leave. That's totally, like, that's illegal. Just the act of filming was not illegal because the owner of the gym does not make the laws. The owner of the gym does not decide what's illegal or illegal, regardless of whether it's his property. He just gets to decide who gets to be on his property at any given moment, right? Like, he gets to invite people in, and and then rescind that offer of invitation if he decides to, if you do something that he doesn't like. It's just like someone's home. It's like someone can invite you into his home, and then if you like. What was the example I thought of? You start like eating. You pull out a bag of chips, from your pocket, and you start eating this bag of chips, potato chips, and and he says, "Oh, you son of a bitch! I hate potato chips. Like, I don't allow people to eat potato chips in my home. Like, and you're like, oh yeah, I don't care. I'm gonna eat these potato chips." And then the homeowner says, "Oh, I don't allow that. I demand you leave my home right now. Like, get out. I hate you. You dare eat potato chips here when that's against my rules. That's against the rules of the house." Okay, now, if you refuse to leave when that homeowner tells you to leave, then he can call the police. The police can force you to leave, and like then you'll be facing legal consequences. Eating the potato chips is never illegal. It doesn't matter. Like, that's not the point. Like, that's not what's going on. That's just his house rules. Like, he can tell you to leave if you break his house rules. The house rules at no point become at no point gain the force of law. It's just like his whatever he wants, because he owns the property. And yeah. And so, it's eating the potato chips is never a crime. Filming people in public is never a crime. Well, I mean, there's probably situations where it is, but just broadly speaking, like if there's no expectation of privacy. Yeah. And so but my issue with this, and this is why I think democracy is perhaps not the perfect. I mean, I think it's the best of limited options that we have right now, is like, a representative form of like Republican government in which people are democratically elected to represent the interests of the people. I think that's probably like the best of limited options we have right now. But if we have people so stupid that, well, I shouldn't say, if they don't understand that like eating a bag of potato chips is never illegal, no matter what a homeowner says, then why should they be voting?